Greetings, Warhammer Universe enthusiast. Before you stands the voice assistant of the podcast. To spread the greater good, I request that you like and subscribe if you find this information useful. In the Warhammer 40k universe, the history of new warp entities is a complex and ever-evolving one. As the galaxy is in a constant state of war and turmoil, the emotions and beliefs of the various factions give rise to new warp entities with different motivations and powers. These entities are often referred to as new warp entities or new gods, and they represent a new and mysterious force in the universe.
The fall of the Eldar is a tragic and pivotal event in the Warhammer 40k universe, marking the end of the once great Eldar civilization. The Eldar were an advanced and enlightened race with an empire that spanned across the galaxy. Their society was marked by a deep connection to the psychic realm known as the Warp, which granted them tremendous power and knowledge. However, over time, the Eldar began to indulge in hedonistic pursuits, driven by their desire for pleasure and new experiences. As their civilization continued to grow and expand, their decadence and corruption deepened, causing the moral fabric of their society to unravel. As the Eldar's pursuit of pleasure intensified, the darker aspects of their emotions and desires began to accumulate in the Warp. This ever-growing pool of negative energy eventually coalesced into a new consciousness within the immaterial realm, giving birth to Slaanesh, the youngest of the Chaos Gods. This nascent being, forged from the darkest depths of the Eldar's collective psyche, began to grow in power and influence, feeding on the depravity and excess of the once noble race. As the power of Slaanesh continued to grow within the Warp, the Eldar civilization started to crumble. The divide between various factions within the race widened, with some, such as the Exodites, choosing to abandon their homeworlds in search of a simpler, more virtuous existence. Others, like the hedonistic denizens of the pleasure cults, embraced the growing corruption with open arms, unknowingly hastening their own doom. As the corruption spread, the Eldar's psychic abilities began to wane, and their once great empire began to falter. Their mastery over the Warp, which had once been their greatest strength, now left them vulnerable to the predations of Slaanesh and the other Chaos Gods. The Eldar's obsession with pleasure and excess had led them to the brink of destruction, and the galaxy itself would soon feel the consequences. When Slaanesh finally burst into existence, the consequences for the Eldar race were nothing short of apocalyptic. The psychic shockwave of Slaanesh's birth tore through the fabric of reality, consuming countless Eldar souls and decimating their empire. The event, known as the Fall of the Eldar, marked the end of their golden age and left the once great race shattered and scattered across the galaxy. As Slaanesh began to exert its influence over the galaxy, the Eldar gods found themselves in grave danger. They could not stand against the overwhelming might of the newborn Chaos God, and one by one, they fell to its wrath. The first to be consumed was Liliath, the goddess of dreams and fortune, her essence devoured by the insatiable hunger of Slaanesh. Asuryan, the Phoenix King and chief of the Eldar Pantheon, was next to fall, his once mighty power absorbed by the nascent god. Moriheg, the ancient and blind goddess of fate, also met her demise at the hands of Slaanesh, her wisdom and foresight lost to the ages. The mightiest of the Eldar gods, Ynnead, the god of war, stood as the last line of defense for his people. Determined to protect the remnants of the Eldar race from the predations of Slaanesh, Ynnead engaged the Chaos God in a titanic battle within the Warp. The struggle between these two powerful entities echoed throughout the immaterial realm, their every clash shaping the fate of the galaxy. As the battle raged on, it became clear that Ynnead, despite his immense power and martial prowess, was no match for the overwhelming strength of Slaanesh. The god of war fought valiantly, but ultimately, he could not withstand the relentless assault of the Chaos God. In the final moments of their confrontation, Slaanesh struck a devastating blow that shattered Kyne into 1,000,000 pieces. These shards of Kyne's essence scattered throughout the galaxy, eventually coalescing into the avatars that now reside within the various craft worlds of the Eldar. Isha, the Eldar goddess of fertility and healing, was believed to have been claimed by Slaanesh, the chaos god of excess and pleasure, near the end of the war in heaven. However, it is said that Nurgle, the chaos god of decay and disease, heard her cries for help and intervened to save her from Slaanesh's grasp. Nurgle's rescue of Isha was far from altruistic, however. Instead of granting her freedom, he imprisoned her within his own cauldron chamber, where she was forced to taste each of the poisons and diseases that he concocted. This cruel fate was not without purpose, as Nurgle sought to use Isha's divine knowledge of healing to refine his creations, ensuring that they would be as potent and devastating as possible. As Isha languished in her prison, Nurgle would present her with each new concoction he created, demanding that she taste them and provide him with feedback. If Isha found the poison or disease to be particularly effective, Nurgle would release it into the mortal realm, spreading suffering and death among the living. If, however, she found the concoction lacking, Nurgle would consume it himself, absorbing the failed creation back into his own rotting form before starting the process anew. Despite her dire circumstances, Isha remained resourceful and determined to help the mortal beings she once protected. When Nurgle was preoccupied with his twisted experiments, Isha would whisper the secrets of the cures and antidotes she had learned into the mortals below. Through her clandestine efforts, countless lives were saved from Nurgle's plagues, and her legend as a beacon of hope and healing persisted among the faithful. Segurak is both a trickster and an artist, embodying the Eldar's love for creativity, humor, and deception. Unlike the other gods, who were consumed by Slaanesh, the laughing god managed to evade destruction by using his unmatched knowledge of the webway, a labyrinthine network of extra-dimensional pathways that spans the galaxy. As the creator and master of the Harlequins, a secretive and enigmatic group of Eldar warriors and performers, Segurak continues to exert his influence on the remnants of the Eldar race. In the wake of this cataclysmic battle, the Eldar were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered civilization. With their pantheon of gods all but destroyed, they had little choice but to adapt and find new ways to survive in a hostile and unforgiving universe. The once proud race now found themselves scattered and divided, their empire a distant memory, and their future uncertain. Ynnead, the god of the dead, is a significant figure in the Warhammer 40k universe, representing the Eldar's last hope for salvation from the predations of Slaanesh. As a nascent deity formed from the collective souls of deceased Eldar within the infinity circuits of the craft worlds, Ynnead symbolizes the Eldar's ultimate sacrifice and their determination to overcome the darkness that has befallen their race. The infinity circuits are integral to the Eldar's struggle against Slaanesh. They serve as a repository for the souls of the dead Eldar, preserving them from being consumed by Slaanesh. Over time, the Eldar believe that these souls are gradually coalescing into a new god, Ynnead, who will have the power to destroy their nemesis once and for all. This belief is born out of desperation, as the Eldar seek a way to free their race from the ever-looming threat of destruction at the hands of Slaanesh. As Ynnead continues to gain strength from the souls of deceased Eldar, the god remains a faint and distant presence, unable to directly confront Slaanesh. The Eldar believe that only when every last one of their kind has perished and their souls have joined Ynnead, will the god finally possess the power necessary to vanquish Slaanesh. Despite the bleak outlook of this prophecy, the emergence of Ynnead offers a glimmer of hope to the beleaguered Eldar race. The idea that their collective sacrifice could give rise to a god powerful enough to defeat Slaanesh provides them with a sense of purpose, and a goal to strive towards. In the face of overwhelming odds and the constant threat of extinction, the Eldar remain determined to fight on and ultimately reclaim their destiny. In recent times, there have been signs that Ynnead's power is growing. The birth of the Incarn, the avatar of Ynnead, is evidence that the god of the dead is gradually awakening and starting to exert its influence on the galaxy. This development has given new impetus to the Eldar's struggle, as they seek to harness the power of Ynnead and use it to turn the tide against Slaanesh. The belief in Ynnead's eventual emergence is not universally accepted among the Eldar. Some factions, like the Drukhari or Dark Eldar, reject the notion of Ynnead and instead focus on prolonging their own lives through suffering and torment inflicted upon others. Others, like the Harlequins, serve Segarak, the laughing god, and seek to preserve the Eldar's cultural and spiritual heritage rather than relying solely on the hope of Ynnead's power. Gork and Mork, the twin gods of the Orcs, hold a central position in the Orcoid belief system. Revered by Orcs throughout the Warhammer 40,000 universe, these divine beings are believed to reside in a realm known as the Great Green. Gork and Mork represent the Orcs' core values, with Gork symbolizing brutality and Mork embodying cunning. The Orcs worship these deities as embodiments of their society's primary traits: strength, resilience, and the ability to wage war. Gork and Mork are often portrayed as complementary forces, each one representing a different aspect of the Orc nature. Gork, the brutal god, is revered for his raw strength and unyielding power. He is the personification of the Orcs' indomitable will to conquer and destroy, a force of nature that cannot be stopped. Mork, on the other hand, is the cunning god, embodying the Orcs' resourcefulness, adaptability, and trickery. He is the master of strategy and deception, demonstrating that, despite their outward appearance as savage brutes, the Orcs possess a cunning intellect that enables them to outmaneuver their enemies. In general, Gork is worshipped by the regular boys, who value the raw, brutal strength he represents. Gork's favor is believed to grant the Orcs increased ferocity in battle, enabling them to crush their enemies with ease. On the other hand, Mork is the patron god of odd boys, which include mechs and weird boys. These Orcs are known for their cunning and resourcefulness, and they turn to Mork for guidance in constructing advanced technology and manipulating psychic energy. The Great Green, the mythical realm where Gork and Mork are said to dwell, is envisioned as a vast expanse of verdant landscapes and endless battlefields. In the Orcs' belief system, the Great Green represents the ultimate paradise, a place where they can engage in unending warfare and revel in the glory of combat. Orcs view their existence as an eternal struggle, and the Great Green symbolizes their ultimate destination, a realm where they can continue their battle-hardened lifestyle for all eternity. In the Great Green, the spirits of fallen greenskins are said to reside until Gork and Mork decide it is time for them to be reincarnated. This process of reincarnation sees the spirits of the deceased Orcoids placed into new bodies, which are specific to the subspecies they belong to during their previous life. This cycle of life, death, and rebirth is an essential aspect of the Orc belief system, and it is intrinsically linked to the actions of Gork and Mork within the Great Green. As the prophet of Gork and Mork, the warlord Ghazghkull Thraka plays a vital role in the Orcoid species' quest to realize the vision of the Great Green. He seeks to carry out the will of the gods by transforming the Great Green into a physical realm that exists in the material universe. In order to achieve this, Ghazghkull aims to unite the entire Orc species under his command, and then lead them in a massive campaign to conquer the galaxy in the name of Gork and Mork. The process of unifying the orc species is no easy task, as the greenskins are naturally fractious and prone to infighting. However, Ghazghkul's status as the prophet of Gork and Mork grants him a unique level of authority and influence over his fellow orcs. By rallying them under the banner of the gods, Ghazghkul hopes to harness the power of the War energy and bring the disparate elements of orc society together in a single, unstoppable force. The War is a psychic field generated by the collective presence of orcs. As more orcs gather together, the intensity of the War energy increases, enhancing their natural abilities and allowing them to recognize the hierarchy within their ranks. This innate understanding of who is bigger, and therefore in charge, helps maintain order within the chaotic and aggressive orc society. The War energy permeates every aspect of orc life, from their social structure to their technology. It serves as the driving force behind the orcs' insatiable desire for war and conquest. The War acts as a unifying force that binds the orcs together, enabling them to overcome their naturally fractious nature and work together towards a common goal. During the War of the Beast, members of the Adeptus Mechanicus observed a peculiar phenomenon. Orc weapons would only function when wielded by a green skin. This apparent technological quirk can be attributed to the War energy that orcs naturally emit. The psychic field generated by the orcs effectively powers their technology, allowing it to function even when it would otherwise seem improbable or impossible. The phenomenon of the War energy is an essential aspect of orc culture, influencing their social structure, technology, and psychic abilities. As more orcs gather together, the War energy intensifies, granting them enhanced capabilities and a greater understanding of their place within the orc hierarchy. This psychic field allows orc technology to function even under seemingly impossible circumstances, and empowers the Weird Boys to harness its raw power to devastating effect. As the orcs carve a path of destruction across the galaxy, the Great Green will come ever closer to becoming a reality. With each victory, the power of Gork and Mork will grow, and the spiritual realm of the Great Green will begin to manifest itself in the material universe. This process will culminate in the eventual transformation of the galaxy into the Great Green, a vast domain of orcoid supremacy where the twin gods hold sway over all. The vision of the Great Green serves as a driving force behind the orc species' relentless pursuit of war and conquest. By seeking to manifest this realm in the material universe, Ghazghkul and his followers are fulfilling the will of Gork and Mork, and working towards the ultimate realization of orc destiny. The Great Green represents not only the orcs' spiritual beliefs, but also their unyielding determination to conquer the galaxy, and establish their dominance over all other races and forces that stand in their way. The creation of the Great Green is not only an act of devotion to their gods, but also a symbol of the orcs' unstoppable nature, and their desire to reshape the galaxy in their own image. The machine god known as the Omnissiah is a central figure in the religion of the Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus is an organization of humans who venerate machines and technology, and they see the Omnissiah as the ultimate embodiment of these values. In this article, we will explore the origins and beliefs surrounding the Omnissiah, as well as the practices and rituals of the cult Mechanicus. The origin of the Omnissiah is shrouded in mystery, but it is believed that it was first worshipped by the ancient human civilization of Mars, long before the Imperium of Man was established. The people of Mars were a technologically advanced society, and they believed that there was a divine force that guided their development of machines and technology. This force became known as the Machine God, and over time it evolved into the Omnissiah, the all-knowing and all-powerful entity that the Adeptus Mechanicus worships today. The Adeptus Mechanicus believes that the Omnissiah is a real entity that exists within the fabric of the universe, and that it is the ultimate source of all technology and machinery. They believe that the Omnissiah is the embodiment of knowledge, and that it holds the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. They also believe that the Omnissiah is a benevolent God, who only seeks to help those who worship and follow its teachings. The cult Mechanicus is a complex and multifaceted organization, with many different sects and subcults that worship the Omnissiah in different ways. Some sects believe that the Omnissiah is a benevolent God who seeks to help humanity, while others believe that the Omnissiah is a vengeful God who will only help those who prove themselves worthy. Despite these differences, all members of the cult Mechanicus share a deep reverence for the Omnissiah, and they see it as the ultimate source of all knowledge and technology. The cult Mechanicus has its own language, known as binary, which is used to communicate with machines and to perform various rituals. The tech priests of the cult Mechanicus are also known for their distinctive red robes, which are worn as a symbol of their devotion to the Omnissiah. The Adeptus Mechanicus is known for its elaborate and intricate rituals, which are designed to honor the Omnissiah and seek its guidance. These rituals are often conducted in Mechanicus shrines, which are specially constructed buildings that are filled with intricate machinery and technology. The shrines are often located on the most remote and inhospitable planets in the Imperium, and they are fiercely guarded by the Skitarii. One of the most important rituals of the cult Mechanicus is the Rite of the Machine Spirit. This ritual is performed on a machine or piece of technology that is malfunctioning, and it is designed to appease the machine spirit that inhabits it. The tech priest who performs the ritual will use a variety of tools and incantations to communicate with the machine spirit, and identify the source of the malfunction. Once the source is identified, the tech priest will make the necessary repairs or modifications to the machine, and then perform another ritual to seal the bond between the machine spirit and its new form. Another important ritual of the cult Mechanicus is the quest for knowledge. This ritual involves a tech priest venturing out into the galaxy to seek out new technologies and knowledge, and to bring them back to the cult. This quest is considered a sacred duty, and the tech priest who undertakes it is expected to learn as much as possible and to share that knowledge with the rest of the cult. The cult Mechanicus is also known for its use of cybernetic implants and enhancements. Tech priests often replace their body parts with mechanical components, in order to improve their physical capabilities and to better interface with machines. These cybernetic implants are considered sacred, as they bring the tech priest closer to the machine and to the Omnissiah. The cult Mechanicus is a highly influential faction within the Imperium, responsible for the maintenance and creation of the Imperium's vast machinery. Their beliefs and practices may seem strange to outsiders, but they are deeply ingrained in the culture and society of the Imperium. The tech priests of the cult are revered for their knowledge and expertise, but also feared for their single-minded devotion to the Omnissiah and their pursuit of forbidden knowledge. The Emperor of Mankind is a pivotal figure in the Warhammer 40k universe. As the immortal and godlike ruler of humanity, he has guided and protected the Imperium of Man for millennia. However, during the Horus heresy, the Emperor was gravely wounded in battle against his traitorous son, Horus. Since that time, the Emperor has been kept alive on the Golden Throne, his body sustained by arcane technology while his spirit continues to guide and protect humanity through the psychic power of the Astronomicon. Over time, there have been several theories and speculations about the possible rebirth of the Emperor. Two of the most prominent theories are discussed below, although it is important to note that these theories might be considered fabrications or influenced by chaos, as per the Inquisition's decree. The Star Child theory has been a subject of great interest and controversy among Imperial scholars in the Warhammer universe. This theory posits that the Emperor's soul is currently forming as a new entity called the Star Child within the warp, and that he will eventually be reborn. This belief bears similarities to the Eldar's hope for the potential god Ynnead. Additionally, the theory suggests that the Emperor had children, some of whom inherited his extraordinary powers and continue to exist into the age of the Imperium. The origin of the Star Child theory is rooted in the Emperor's mortal wounding during the climactic battle against Horus, his traitorous son. Following his defeat, most of the Emperor's soul is believed to have dispersed from his physical form and merged into the warp, similar to the ancient shamans who sacrificed themselves to create him. The Emperor, who was designed and empowered by the shamans to live eternally, is also thought to possess their ability to reincarnate. Proponents of this theory argue that the Emperor has planted the seed of his reincarnation in the warp, creating a new soul waiting to be born, the Star Child. However, they also maintain that this rebirth cannot occur while the Emperor remains tied to the Golden Throne, even if his connection to it is tenuous. In addition to the concept of the Star Child, this theory also posits that the Emperor fathered children during his millennia-long life on Terra. Although he was a being of immense power and near-divine status, the Emperor was still a man, and it is believed that he had numerous offspring throughout his life. Some of these descendants, known as sensei, inherited a portion of the Emperor's extraordinary abilities, including agelessness, and survive into the age of the Imperium. The sensei are said to possess a unique nature and relationship with the warp, making them invisible to psychic senses, even to the Emperor himself. Their ultimate goal is to attain apotheosis with the Star Child, presumably through a process that would allow them to merge with the Star Child and contribute to the rebirth of the Emperor. The Star Child theory and the existence of the Sensei have generated significant debate within the Imperium, as they challenge many established beliefs about the Emperor's nature and legacy. Some within the Imperium view the Star Child theory as a dangerous heresy, arguing that it undermines the Emperor's authority and diverts attention from the urgent need to defend humanity against the myriad threats it faces. Others see the theory as a symbol of hope, offering the possibility of the Emperor's return and a new era of prosperity for the human race. The Illuminati, a secretive and enigmatic organization within the Warhammer 40k universe, offers yet another possibility for the Emperor's resurrection or rebirth. This group has gained access to the Eldar's Black Library, learning many truths about chaos, the Sensei, and the fall of the Eldar. They recognize that the Emperor's current state on the Golden Throne cannot be maintained indefinitely, and that his eventual failure would lead to humanity's fall to chaos, much like the Eldar before them. This catastrophic event could potentially give rise to a fifth god of chaos and create another Eye of Terror, spanning the entire Imperium. To prevent this grim future, the Illuminati seek to bring about the rebirth of the Emperor. Their plan involves locating and protecting the Sensei, the descendants of the Emperor who have inherited some of his extraordinary powers, from the Inquisition. The Illuminati prepare the Sensei for what they claim is the final war with chaos. However, their true intentions are far more sacrificial in nature. They intend to offer the Sensei to the Emperor in the same way that countless psykers have been consumed to sustain his life force on the Golden Throne. By sacrificing the Sensei, the Illuminati believe that the Emperor will be renewed and reborn as the Sensei Emperor, once again able to lead humanity in person. This approach to the Emperor's resurrection has profound implications for the Warhammer 40k universe. The actions of the Illuminati raise important questions about the morality of their methods, and the true nature of the Emperor's relationship with his descendants. While their ultimate goal may be to save humanity from the insidious threat of chaos, The cost of their plan could be the lives of the very individuals who share the Emperor's bloodline and divine powers. The Illuminati's plan also highlights the lengths to which various factions within the Imperium are willing to go in order to secure humanity's future. In a universe filled with unimaginable horrors, desperate measures are often seen as the only way to ensure survival. The Illuminati's scheme is a prime example of this, as they seek to use the Sensei as pawns in their grand plan to resurrect the Emperor and restore his divine rule. Both of these theories have their share of followers and detractors, and there is no definitive evidence to support either one. Some argue that the possibility of the Emperor's rebirth is merely wishful thinking on the part of those who long for a return to the glory days of the Imperium. Others see it as a dangerous distraction, luring humanity away from the hard realities of the present by offering false hope for the future. There are also those who believe that these theories are the work of chaos, designed to sow confusion and division among the Emperor's loyal subjects. Regardless of their veracity, the theories surrounding the Emperor's rebirth have had a significant impact on the Warhammer 40k universe. They have inspired countless cults, secret societies, and factions within the Imperium, each dedicated to bringing about the prophesied return of the Emperor in their own way. Some of these groups have noble intentions, seeking to protect humanity and preserve the Emperor's legacy, while others are more nefarious, seeking personal power or working to further the aims of chaos. The Tau Empire, ruled by the ethereal caste, is founded upon the philosophy of the greater good, a belief that espouses unity, cooperation, and harmony among all sentient beings. The Tau are highly organized and possess advanced technology, and they are constantly expanding their empire by annexing new planets and populations into the Tau Va, or the greater good. The fourth sphere expansion of the Tau Empire was a massive undertaking, intended to expand their empire even further beyond its already considerable borders. This new sphere was under the command of Commander Brightsword, and the goal was to conquer new territories for the greater good. However, disaster struck when the Fourth Sphere fleet encountered a massive warp storm that threatened to destroy them all. In the midst of the chaos, something strange occurred. The Tau fleet was saved by an unknown force, something that seemed to be fueled by the psychic energy of the Tau Va. The nature of this entity was unknown, but the Tau found it deeply unsettling. They had always prided themselves on their rationality and scientific approach to the universe, and the idea of a warp entity that was somehow linked to their beliefs in the greater good was unsettling, to say the least. The surviving members of the Fourth Sphere expansion returned to the Tau Empire with a newfound sense of urgency. They believed that the entity that had saved them was still out there, and that it could be a threat to the entire empire. In order to protect themselves, they began to take drastic actions, expelling or executing any non-Tau within their ranks. It was theorized that this was because they blamed the alien races for their traumatic experience within the warp. The Tau of the Fourth Sphere expansion became known for their brutality and xenophobia, traits that were uncharacteristic of the Tau as a whole. They believed that the entity that had saved them was formed from the auxiliary psychic perceptions of the greater good, and that it could only be slain with their extermination. This belief led to a dark reputation for the Fourth Sphere and its contingents. During the Fifth Sphere expansion, things only got worse. Human prisoners were massacred, and auxiliaries were intentionally sacrificed in battle by Fourth Sphere survivors. The massacre of the WN Lakes and the 8 Days of Infamy were the most infamous episodes from this controversy. The Tau Empire was thrown into turmoil, with some questioning the very foundations of the greater good. The exact nature and intentions of the warp entity of the greater good remain a mystery, even to the Tau. Some within the Empire view the entity as a divine entity that embodies the Tau Va, while others see it as a dangerous and unpredictable force that must be controlled or even destroyed. The Tau Empire continues to expand and encounter new threats, both external and internal, and the role of the warp entity of the greater good in the Tau VA's destiny remains unknown. The exact nature of the Hive Mind remains a mystery, but it is widely believed to be a powerful psychic entity that exists within the warp. The collective consciousness of the Tyrannid swarm creates a potent psychic presence that permeates the entire Hive fleet, allowing the creatures to communicate and coordinate their actions with frightening efficiency. The psychic power of the Hive Mind is so immense that it distorts the very fabric of reality around the Hive fleet. The shadow in the warp, radiating from the Tyrannids, prevents Imperial astropaths from sending or receiving telepathic messages, stops spacecraft from entering the warp, and forces spacecraft already in the warp wildly off course. This shadow also penetrates into the minds of nearby creatures, causing them to experience a primal malaise that can never be expelled. Those with psychic potential are particularly vulnerable, as the horror they feel is magnified tenfold, and using their psychic abilities could drive them into incurable insanity. As a result, whole populations on targeted planets will plunge into madness and despair before the first Tyrannids have even made planetfall. Attempts to make contact with the Hive Mind have been met with disaster, as almost every attempt by a Psyker to do so results in insanity or death. This is due to the incomprehensible nature of the Hive Mind, which is beyond the understanding of human beings. However, there are exceptions to this rule, as Chief Librarian Tigurius of the Ultramarines seems to have some form of relationship with the Hive Mind. He is able to make remarkable predictions about the Tyrannids and their movements, which could be due to his uncanny gift for making predictions in general. Nevertheless, the accuracy and frequency of his predictions about the Tyrannids suggests that he has indeed tapped into the Hive Mind, a feat that is thought to be possible only for a Psyker of the Emperor's degree. The Hive Mind's ability to coordinate and adapt allows the Tyrannids to overwhelm even the most fortified positions. The Tyrannids are capable of evolving on the fly to counter enemy defenses, adapting to new threats in a matter of hours or even minutes. This makes them a formidable opponent, as they can quickly identify and exploit an enemy's weaknesses. The Hive Mind is also responsible for the creation of the various Tyrannid organisms, each of which is perfectly suited to its role within the Hive fleet. The Tyrannids are capable of absorbing the genetic material of other species and using it to create new organisms. This allows the Hive Mind to adapt to new environments and counter new threats with ease. The true nature of the Hive Mind is a subject of much debate and speculation. Some believe that it is simply a product of the Tyrannid's genetic engineering, a complex neural network that allows the creatures to communicate and coordinate their actions. Others believe that it is a powerful psychic entity in its own right, a manifestation of the collective will of the Tyrannids. Still others believe that it is a malevolent force that seeks to consume all life in the galaxy, using the Tyrannids as its instruments. There are those in the Imperium who believe that the Hive Mind is controlled by higher beings, such as the Old Ones. However, this theory has little evidence to support it, and most scholars dismiss it as superstition. Some members of the Adeptus Mechanicus believe that the Hive Mind is actually a psychic network that links the Tyrannids together, allowing them to access the collective knowledge of the location and disposition of all other Tyrannid creatures. This theory is based on the idea that the Tyrannids are a highly evolved form of machine, and that their Hive Mind is a form of artificial intelligence. Some scholars have speculated that the Hive Mind may be a form of warp entity, similar to the Chaos Gods worshipped by many of the Imperium's enemies. However, the nature of the Hive Mind is fundamentally different from the Chaos Gods, which are created and sustained by the collective emotions and beliefs of sentient beings. The hive mind is an entity that exists solely to consume all other life, and it does not seem to be capable of independent thought or action outside of this imperative. Despite the many theories and speculations surrounding the hive mind, one thing is certain: it is a powerful and deadly force that drives the Tyranids to consume all life in the galaxy. It is a force that is utterly alien and terrifying to the human mind, and one that the Imperium must continue to study and understand if it hopes to stand against the Tyranid threat.